So dear students, already last class what we were discussed. So these all are little bit we have to revise. Okay, one by one. Please all of you listen properly. First our the physical parts. The first lesson name is solid state. Okay. So solid state means the first point is come definition. All of us know the definition of solids. Solid possesses definite shape, definite volume, and it occupies some space. Yes or no? Is known as solids. Its example. The example of solid means what? Gold, iron, brick, etc. So many things are there, which is our example of our solid state. Then the next things is coming characteristic of a solid. Solids everything has characteristics, so solid has also characteristic. We know very well. There are some important characteristic of solid states are there already. We explained it our last class. What first one is definite shape, definite volume, compressibility, slow diffusion, crystalline state, high density, melting point. These are the all characteristic of solid state, and already we discussed one by one. Definite shape. Solid possesses definite shape. In this respect, solid is different from liquid and gases. Definite volume. Solid possesses definite volume because inside of solid a strong intermolecular force is there, and its molecule is proximity each other. And what compressibility, inside of solid the particles or atoms or molecules are tightly each other, hence the electrons hence the particles or molecules cannot migrate each other, so the solid possesses compressibility. Slow diffusion. In solid cases, diffusion process is extremely slow because inside of solid the particles are tight each other. Particles or molecules do not migrate appreciably, do not migrate each other. So in solid cases, diffusion process is extremely slow. And what crystalline state? Crystalline state means what I told you. It is a very important sub characteristic. Crystalline state means its constituent particles depends upon the long range order. High density. Density means what? Mass by volume. Last one is what? Melting point. Melting point means already I told you, when a substance or when a solid changes into liquid through heating or due to presence of heating is known as solid state. Next, the second thing is coming on the basis of nature. The solids are classified into two types. That means नेचर को बेस करके सॉलिड को दो टाइप हो गया. एक का नाम है क्रिस्टलाइन और अदर का नाम है एमरफस. सो व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय क्रिस्टलाइन एंड एमरफस सॉलिड्स? ऑलरेडी वी एक्सप्लेन दिस वन. Crystalline solid is a solid. Its constituent particles depends upon the long range order. And crystalline solid has a sharp melting point. Crystalline solid has one important term is there. That important term is known as anisotropic. Why crystalline solid is known as anisotropic? Because its physical properties and refractive indications are different direction. The crystalline example of a crystalline solid, sodium chlorides, all sodium chlorides, and a quartz glass, sand, whatever is there, those who are dissolved with water or not dissolved also water, they are the crystalline solids. And crystalline solid possesses symmetry. When you cut a crystalline solid, then it will be form a two plane surface. Next one, amorphous solid. Amorphous solid is a look like a powder. Its constituent particles are a short range order. They have no sharp melting point. Crystalline solid amorphous solid possesses also one important term is there. That important term is known as a what? Isotropic. The meaning of isotropic, its physical properties and refractive index are the same direction. The amorphous solid do not possess symmetry because when we cut amorphous solids, it will be form a two irregular plane surface. Example, amorphous solids, all powder, calcium oxide, naphthalene, etc. Okay, so in these crystalline solids and amorphous solids, here the crystalline solid is strong than the amorphous solids, or it is importance than the amorphous solids. That's why the crystalline solids are classified here. On the basis of binding force, the crystalline solid are classified into four parts. What do you mean by binding force? Inside of solid, a holding force is there. That holding force is known as a binding force. Binding force is basis. Then the crystalline solid are four parts, such as molecular solid, ionic solid, covalent or network solid. Last one is metallic solids. What do you mean by molecular solids? We know very well molecular solid is a solid. Its constituent particles are very small. Example ice, solid carbon dioxide, naphthalene, etc. Whatever is there, that is our example of molecular solid. The characteristic, again another term is there. Inside a molecular solid, one weak force is there. That weak force is known as a van der Waals force. Okay, the molecular solid has two characteristics. One is non-polar, another is polar. Non-polar means what? It does not contains positive and negative. Polar molecular solid contains positive and negative cation or anion. The second type of crystalline solid name is known as ionic solid. So you know very well ionic solid is made up of cation and anion. Example of sodium chloride, cesium chloride, barium chloride. Already we briefly explained in last class sodium chloride, cesium chloride, barium. How the electrons can migrate one plus to another plus, then the ionic bond will be happen. Characteristic of ionic solids also we discuss. Next, third one is our covalent or network solid. Dear students, covalent means a mutual sharing of electrons between two atoms is known as a covalent. The covalent solid are commonly called as a network solid. Why it is a network solid? Because the covalent solid constituent particles are look like a giant molecule or network type, so that this solid is known as a network solid. Example of a covalent or network solid is graphite and a diamond. These are the two important things. First one is, what do you mean by graphite? Graphite and diamonds are the allotropes of a carbon. Graphite is a good conductor of electricity. Why it is a good conductor of electricity? Because inside of graphite many layers are present and space are there. So if space are there and many layers are present, means electron can migrate one layer to another layer. If electron can migrate one position to another position, means there is a positive electricity. So graphite is a good conductor of electricity. Diamond is a poor conductor of electricity. We know very well inside of a diamond the particles or atoms or molecules are tight each other. There is a no space, so that electrons cannot migrate each other. If electrons cannot migrate each other, means there is a no position of electricity. Last one is, dear students, metallic solids. We know very well metallic solids mean metal has a tendency which has always a donor of electron because of a free electron. Metallic solids are constituent particles are oppositely charged ion. Example iron, mercury, copper, sodium, etc. are the example of metallic solid. Properties of metallic solid. Metallic solids are sonorous, ductility, malleability. It is a good conductor of electricity because of a free electrons. So these are the parts of a crystalline solids. Then next second thing is known as what? Space lattice. Then our space lattice means what? We know very well. Space lattice is defined as its constituent particles are arranging in a regular repeating in a space. Then unit cell and lattice point. Unit cell are commonly called as a lattice point. Lattice point are also known as unit cell. To a small portion of the space lattice is known as unit cell or a lattice point. Already I told you many example. A classroom, inside of classroom students are there, students are present and teachers are present. So all one by one students is known as our unit cell or lattice point, and our classroom is our known as a space lattice. Next thing, to understand the space lattice and a unit cell, we have to first explain two-dimensional and a three-dimensional particles. Then two-dimensional means what? Those space lattice are contains length breadth is known as a 2D. Those space lattice are contains length breadth height is known as a three-dimensional particles. So two-dimensional particles means what? Two-dimensional, when we have to express the two-dimensional particles, then there are certain figures are there. So first one is a what? Rectangle. Another is a interior point with rectangle. Third one is a rhombus. Fourth one is a parallelogram. And last one is a square. Three-dimensional particle means what? Cube. Okay, cube, ghana. Okay, the second thing is last thing is known as a characteristic of unit cell. We know very well this is a one type cube. This cube is depending upon the here one centered point is there. These centered points depending upon this parameter. The unit cell can be divided into two types. One is simple or primitive, another is a centered. Simple or primitive means what, dear students? Its constituent particles depends upon the only at a corner side. There is no additional point is known as a simple or primitive unit cell. But centered unit cell means what? Centered unit cell is a cell. Its constituent particles depends upon the 8 cornered side and each face contains one additional point is known as a centered point. So these centered unit cell are further classified into three types. One is a BCC, FCC, ECC. BCC means body centered unit cell, FCC means face centered unit cell, ECC means head centered unit cell. one by one little bit we have to discuss. Body centered unit cell means what? Its constituent particles depends upon the 8 corner side and one additional point present at the middle of top of the cube. Okay, FCC means what? It contains 8 corner side or also each face contains one additional point. ECC means what? It also contains 8 corner sides and its opposite face are contains one additional point, is known as ECC. So these simple or these centered unit cells are combining to form, hence the further parts and the conclusion parts are classified into the cubic system. Cubic systems are classified in 3 types, such as simple or BCC or FCC. These 3 things are very important. Many numericals are there. I hope this question will become your board examination. Okay, पहले मु जहाँ पढ़ाई थी ओराली भाइवास प्राक्टिकली भाया टी मुझे तुम मान को रिमाइंडर करदेली। मु आई होप मु आशा करुँच तुम मैंने घरे जा सब एमती जमी रिविजन मुझे देखली गोटे रफ डायग्राम करी सेमती तुम मैंने गोटे ट्री डायग्राम कर रफ डायग्राम कर एमती पढ़। थैंक यू।